On-Tap Plumbing and Gas covers all Perth areas from Mandurah to Two Rocks and has a team of plumbing, drainage and hot water experts. They have an amazing reputation for their excellent service and quality workmanship on time, every time, and it is easy to see why they are a favourite to many Perth property managers. Whether you just need some friendly advice or an obligation-free quote, look no further than On-Tap Plumbing and Gas.
All right, you guys are in for a goodie for this podcast today because I'm joined with Vanessa Naso from the Agency and Shannon Welch from Property Assist. And today we are going to do an AREC wrap-up. An AREC wrap-up, we've just been over to the Gold Coast together and we had a good time, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. It was great.
And I think one of the things we said was that you said this, Vanessa, that you got just as much out of going with other people than what you did going to the event as well. So
absolutely.
Let's start with you.
My first time AREC, it was a bucket list for me. So I was just so excited to be there and to be going. And yeah, exactly what you said. I didn't expect to get so much out of connecting and networking with everyone there, both people from WA and from new people that we met over there. And it's really funny because we see each other all the time, but we're all so consumed with what we're all doing that when we do see each other, it's little snippets. So it was really nice to be able to spend some time together and connect properly.
And I know that we're going to dive into more specific speakers and things like that later. But if you were to rate let's rate the AREC conference out of 10, and then let's rate our weekend out of 10.
Oh, okay. Weekend 10, easily 10. AREC, I'd probably give it an 8.
Excellent, wonderful. All right, Shen, over to you.
Yeah, it was my first AREC as well. So I guess I didn't really know what to expect, but I'm very much the same as you, Vanessa. I had such a good time with all of the connections that we made, and just, yeah, like you say, we know all the people that we went with, but to actually travel and spend quality time with them, it was just, it was really nice. I think I've made some real lifelong friends out of it as well. But for the AREC, I guess the rate, I think I would give AREC a 7, and the weekend was, I reckon a good 10 or 11 for me. So it was good.
Excellent. Yeah, and I'm the same. I think I had been to AREC before about 5-6 years ago, and I did enjoy it then as well, but it wasn't something that I felt like I needed to go again the following year. But again, weekend definitely 10 out of 10, and then the event I'd probably sit it at about a 7 as well. So I mean, I think overall it was great. I think we all agree with that. But what I want to do is just go through some nitty-gritties of it, because I think there was probably, what I'm thinking is that there was probably only a small part of it that gave me that higher rating, if that makes sense. There was definitely a few standouts. And then there were a lot that I sort of just went, meh, take it or leave it. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's not possible for an event to be 100% perfect over everything, is it?
Definitely not, no.
And it's not what we were expecting either.
Although we did go to another event that may have got to that level.
Yeah,
we'll talk about.
And we'll talk about that one after the conference, because that was really great. And I think when you're listening to this podcast, you will see that we have all got different experiences. So for me, I'm going in with an experienced business mindset. So that's what I was focused on. Vanessa, you're in sales. So you were probably, I don't know, are you more the learning motivation? What were you wanting to get out of it?
No, actually, I think I don't know if I am the same as other sales agents, but because I come from a business background, I do treat my sales business like my own business. And going to this conference, I definitely had a business mindset on, and I've come back with a change in what I see for the future of my sales role. So I definitely did go in with a business mindset. although I probably got different things out of the salesy type speakers than you guys did. So my view on those might be different to yours. But yeah, a bit of a combination, but definitely to learn and be motivated too.
Yeah, and then, Shan, you're coming from, I guess, more of a contractor trade type business owner, aren't you? So you're like going to experience it totally different.
Yeah, I think we briefly spoke about it as well. Like I know that AREC is very sales heavy, obviously, as a lot of people sort of say, but I think you can always change that. So I listen to something or some kind of sales tactic or idea that people have, and I'll say, yeah, cool, I can convert that into how I can get new business or how I can treat my clients or look after clients or do things differently. So I'm always sort of grabbing things and changing them around, which that was good. But for me, I realized that I really enjoy the leadership sort of stuff. And I feel like that was lacking in AREC. I think because now I have quite a large team. So, the 18 inspectors on the ground here, and then our remote professionals, which we've got 15 at the moment over in the Philippines. Like, it's a huge team, and I just want to make sure that I'm doing the best job that I can to look after them. So I think for me, that's what I was looking for with AREC, and it was like it popped up in pieces throughout, but it wasn't there as much as, I guess, is it that higher level, like management, higher level business? I don't know. I think.
I've just written that down on my notes. I've just put there that I think that for us, we are at that high level. I put high level leadership in business. So that's really what we like. All of us, that's what we're needing, and that's what we're wanting, because we're at that stage of life as well as business. But I think that the ideal person who would get a lot out of AREC is maybe that person who's only been in the industry for 2 or 3 years, because while there were, like exactly what you said, it came through a little bit here and there, but the property management part of AREC, I felt a little bit disappointed in, because I was needing that extra high level, which it didn't hit the mark for me in that space. And at the end of the day, you want to be hearing and listening to people that are like 10 times, 20 times better than what you are, because that's how you learn. You sort of don't really want to hear from people that are potentially on the same level as you, as maybe as blunt as that may sound, but that's not what we need, or that what we were seeking. And that's why we got that from the leader conference.
Yes. Yeah. So like they said, put yourself in a room of people that are smarter than you, and then continue to learn. And like that's exactly it. I mean, I did take some things away from AREC. I think my couple of things I took away, which you always think about, but it's a good reminder, isn't it? For me, like there was a lot around your health and your mindset and consistency. Like they were the 3 things that, of course, we all know we need that, but I know that, like, for me, my health is the first thing that drops off. Like, as soon as I've come back to work after being on mat leave, I don't think I've even thought about going to the gym or, anything to do with my health. And that, is silly, because that's what helps you have the energy. And I don't have the energy. I haven't had the energy. I just keep pushing through. So that was a good reminder for me to just reassess that and get that in control again. And that's, probably the biggest thing I took away.
But it's still stuff that you knew.
Exactly. Yeah.
What it is. Well, let's start with Ryan Serhant. So Vanessa, we'll start with you, because obviously this is, he's in sales, and he, is definitely one of the famous people that attended. He spoke on day 1 and day 2 and opened up both days. What was your thought on Ryan?
I just loved him for a start. I mean, he's just gorgeous, and he was just so real. His delivery was entertaining and engaging, which was really good. He was funny as well. But the biggest thing that I loved about what he said was be future you, because I think when you're in sales, we're always so focused on the short-term goals, and short-term meaning, what do I want to do this year? How many sales do I want to do? What GCI do I want to do? It's always those same conversations. And I don't think we really focus too much on what do I want to look like? What do I actually want to achieve out of my sales role for the future? So he was very much about be future you, like be that person that you want to be already. And it actually is something that you taught me, Ash, because I remember when I first started, you said to me, it's all about perception. Just put it all out there, everything you're doing, and multiply, your platforms and what you posted on and everything, and it's true, because people will come up to me even when I'm having a bit of a lull in my business and say to me, oh, you're doing so well, and this sort of thing, which it is very much an exposed business that people watch you. So unfortunately we do have to put it out there. So I liked that. I liked the be future you. The other thing that I loved about what he said was collaboration. It's something we don't do enough in the sales part of this industry. And he was very much about, there's people in this room that you're going to network with and connect with over this weekend. Make the most of it. You've got so many opportunities to do business together. And I think a lot of agents that have been in the industry for a long time, they protect their business so much and they don't want to do that. And I would like to see that as part of the change in this industry. So I loved that he encouraged collaboration.
What about you, Shan?
Yeah, I struggled on the first day, didn't I, Ash? I don't know if that was because I had a few too many drinks the night before and I was a bit tired, or if I just wasn't like, I don't know, like I said, I really wanted that value and those bits and pieces, like that real takeaway stuff. And he commenced on a lot of his story and like how he got there, which of course is, like you say, Vanessa, like be the future you. And he consistently did that to the point where like he got himself into strife a few times, obviously, with doing that. But again, yeah, like he was great. I loved him on the second day and I took so much away from that. And yeah, I think consistency, like he just talked about consistency all the time, all the time. I think that was just the biggest thing. And yeah, that, like I said, that's one of my biggest takeaways. So yeah.
For me, it was exactly that future you. So it was exactly how Vanessa explained it. If something comes up, if someone says to you, like for example, hey, do you do property management? And you're not at that stage of doing property management yet. He was like, what would future Ryan say? Well, future Ryan does want a management arm. So yes, we do property management, bring the property over. And he just, and because I'm a bit like that as well, I loved hearing that he was like that. For me, specifically what I got out of it was that he was talking about when he last spoke in Australia and he saw our selling process being a little bit different. And then he told a story about how when he went back home and he used like an Australian selling technique, I guess. And everyone said, you're crazy. He's like, no, they do it in Australia, and had really good success. So he did something completely different. And because I was in the middle, or I was umming and ahhing about this fee schedule that I wanted to do, because I'm sick of fee schedules being so boring in property management. And I was sitting on a different type of fee schedule. And when I heard him say that, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to do it. I don't care. Awesome. And actually, do you know what? I haven't told you girls this, but when I gave it the new fee schedule to Sam, and I said, Sam, Sam's my BDM for those that don't know. And I was like, Sam, I want to do this fee schedule. It's a bit different, but I think it makes sense. And she was like, oh, I don't know, Ash, maybe just like only like a month, like let's not commit to it. And then when I came back and I said to her, no, we're doing it, she goes, well, actually, I've actually already started putting that through to clients. And she goes, the feedback has been amazing.
Oh, how good's that?
Loving it. So that was for me. What I got out of Ryan was it doesn't matter that it's different. Just if you like it, just do it, and
absolutely,
and it'll work out. So I got a lot of confidence from his. The words that he used a lot were brand and expand. So
yes.
Really just a great reminder. It's all about your branding and then expanding to your future you. And I wrote this down in my notes. Selling is the transfer of enthusiasm. And I think that he oozed that with his energy. So I loved both days. I really loved day one. Shan, you loved day two. And Vanessa, I think you loved day one of him.
Day one was my favorite. I didn't actually take any notes on him on day two.
No.
I just sat there and consumed it all. One other thing that he did say that I loved was stress and anxiety takes away your pleasure. And that I'm big on that, and it's something that I've recently learned, and it's so true. So I hope that there were people there that do suffer stress and anxiety that resonated with, because it really does. Like, if you let that take over, it takes away everything that you can enjoy. So I loved that as well. I feel like he was a really good mix of enough sales, enough wellness, enough everything that we need to do. He was a really good mix and balance, whereas some others were heavy on the wellness, not so much sales. So he really did it well.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point of making. He did balance it well. Now Matt Steinwood.
I love Matt Steinway.
I don't cry, but I feel quite. I
just cried watching the 6 a.m. reel that he just did again, and I sent it to Stu. That was honestly incredible. I wrote him down when I did the survey. He was my second favourite.
So I'm going to let you talk about that while I compose myself with him. So.
Geez, Ash, you're crying more than you were on the day. Haven't you got your tongue in the roof of your mouth today?
I will. No, I'll have to do that. So roof and the top of your tongue can stop tears. So I had to do that through Matt's session because I was sitting next to Vanessa, and Vanessa I always give a hit to whenever she cries. So I couldn't sit next to her crying, because then I look like, the little bitch, I guess. So but it was sad, wasn't it?
Yeah, look, it was so good of him to share, and it's so nice that a man like that is not shy to share and be vulnerable. And you're on a stage with 5,000 people, and you could not hear a thing in the room. Everyone was sobbing. It was silent, because he was obviously speaking about his son who committed suicide last year. And the message that he was obviously trying to give is, there's no excuse. Like, everyone goes through stuff, and he had to pick up the pieces and keep going. Like, he's just lost the biggest part of his life and the biggest part of his family's life. So you want it, you do it. Like, that was his thing. So I think, and someone did say, I don't think he was ready to do that because he broke down like that. But I actually disagree, because he could do that talk in 10 years' time and he will be exactly the same, because you never got to get over something like that. So I think the idea and the reason, he wouldn't have known how he was going to be when he tried to talk about that. So it was real, and he got his message across. And he also did say, and what a lot of the sales agents said, which surprised me, they all went on about making your calls, and it's something that I'm really bad at. So hearing from those people saying that they do calls every day, it was like, I really do need to do that. So that's my wrap up on him. I just love him. I could listen to him all day. Yeah.
Stay with us. We'll be right back. MCG quantity surveyors are a favourite for property managers around Australia to help their clients maximise their cash flow through tax depreciation. I love how they place a strong emphasis on industry-leading education and data releases that they share with our community, and because they support the property industry so much, it is a no-brainer to use them for all your tax depreciation needs.
What about you, Shan?
Yeah, I followed him on socials and stuff, and, I've liked bits and pieces that he's done, but I just have a whole new respect for him after that. Like, good on him for just being able to share. I mean, even his story, I knew bits and pieces, but from where he's come from and to what he's doing in his business now, and then that happening to him at the end of last year, so many people would not keep going. And that's what he just kept saying. That's another thing actually I wrote down that I got out of it, is just don't give up, just keep going. And so many people just complain about their bloody crappy coffee that got made that morning. Really? We've got so many bigger things going on in everyone's lives. And if you make it a problem, then that's your problem. And you're going to continue with that, rather than just don't give up, like just keep going. If that's what you want, you've got to keep going. And he was true to that. Like, yeah, he's just great.
And also putting full responsibility on you, like you're the only one that needs responsibility for that. So there's no other, no one else involved. My notes for him, I've put, how can you make WOW part of your property management, or not property management service, how can you make WOW part of your service? So he talked about a guy called Manuel, didn't he, at a hotel who was like a concierge, I guess, at the front of the hotel, and he was just saying how this guy was wow. So we probably go through business just probably trying to scrape through, making sure everyone's happy, and it's like we're content with happy, like we don't feel the need to go like even further, like wow. And that's probably just an Australian thing, maybe. We're pretty content, aren't we, with just people being happy.
You don't have to please more than like making someone smile. That's it. Like, but whereas he was ridiculously over the top, but he did it because he needed to pay for his child's uni fees, and that's like so many of other cultures and countries out there. That's why they try so hard. Like, I
think it comes down to that tipping as well. Like the other countries tend to over service because they get tips for the value of their service. And I've always said that I wish we had that here, because we might get better service in retail shops and restaurants and things like that. So, I think that might be part of it as well. Just on Matt Steinwade as well, if I can just quickly say, from a presentations point of view, I really liked how theatrical he was, wasn't he? Like he just moved around and he like did a little dance and moved. You really use the stage. And I think it's really important when you're presenting on a big stage like that, because there were some others that didn't really move around much, and I could feel myself like my eyes closing because the tonality was very stagnant and they didn't move. But him and Ryan Serhant definitely had that in their presentation as well. So that was really enjoyable too.
Said like a true dance mum.
Yeah, I do like the theatre.
Use the stage correctly and entertain me.
Yeah, exactly. Needs to have it all.
Exactly. All right. Now, so this part was great. Okay. So AREC, we're in the day one. We've just heard from Ryan. We've heard from Matt. Like we're feeling really good. We go have morning tea. We come back and we see Chip. Now, Chip is on Zoom, and he is I don't know how old he is. Maybe he's sort of 60-ish, and he's from the US. Lovely speaker, like in terms of like he's lovely to listen to, but he was only talking sort of about one topic as such. And all I can think about with him, I'm just having a quick look at the notes on that. Doesn't really have too much of the notes of what he was talking about, but all I took from him, and I got sleepy in his session, and it's probably because I had 2 pies for morning tea though, but all I remember him talking about is bloody green smoothies and why.
I knew you were going to say that.
Did anyone else get something else from it?
No, you go, Shan.
He used to work with Tony Robbins. So and when you flick over, there's the notes where he made you fill out, obviously, those words throughout the section. And that is a very Tony Robbins thing. I've experienced that myself. And he was at one of the events that I went to. And I find watching something virtually is really hard. Like he can't move around, like you just said, Vanessa. He couldn't move around the stage. He couldn't keep us engaged. It was only his TV that he had next to him with his slides and then him on the screen. So I kind of wonder that if we did have him in person and he could give us more tonality and that sort of thing, that I think we probably would have got more from him. But again, he is around that mental state of, like looking after your health and well-being sort of thing. So, yeah.
What about you, Vanessa?
Yeah, I also got sleepy during his session, and I felt that it was way too long. It actually did make the day go late over time. And yeah, I didn't really get too much from it. I don't even think I've got one note on his yeah, which is a shame, but yeah, not much to say about him.
Yeah. We'll move along. So after that, I'll come back to Gavin Rubenston, because I think, Vanessa, you watched Gavin, but Shan, did you come and watch Fiona Blaney in the property management? Yeah. So I'll just quickly go through. I mean, there's not a lot on the property management on Fiona Blaney, but what I will say on my notes, what I wrote with, and I love Fiona Blaney. She's got my personality, so I really enjoy just listening to her. So I am a fan. I wrote down, everything has in property management, everything has changed, but nothing has changed. So I thought that was quite a powerful set of words, because that was very true. With her session and with the one afterwards, I can't remember, I think it might have been a BDM. It was, nice presentations, absolutely. But for me, I think that would have been better for someone with lesser experience, because it was very much about mindset, motivation, being consistent, having a positive mindset to, have good results in your, in your new managements and things like that. For me, it didn't hit the mark with me, but that was me personally, because I, have had the business for so long, and would my team have liked it? Possibly. But for me, I was happy getting back into the selling room and listening to a bit more of that. But that was my overall summary, I guess, of the property management sessions. I did feel like I wanted a little bit more than the basics. But like I said, I'm conscious, just in case people are listening to this, because I really like Fiona, and I think it was pleasant. But yeah, I just wanted more. But what did you think, Shan?
Yeah, I think I can see it from your point of view. Like, you've grown your business, you are currently growing your business, so you're always open to other ideas on how to grow your business. And the one that we listened to, she'd had incredible growth and was so good at her job, and we could see the numbers that she was bringing in. But I think it would have been great to just get a little, a few more tips, and just get into it a little bit more. I think that's sort of what I'm assuming you're kind of getting at. Yeah,
totally. Tell me how many calls you're doing. What does your I don't know, what is your new management pack look at? Are you doing something that's a little bit different, that's helping you stand out in the market? Like that sort of nitty gritty, because we got that in the sales side with at the end of the day with a guy called Trevor, who was a firefighter and part-time sales agent. And what I loved about him is he was like, on the screen, it was like, here's the checklist I use. Here's my neighborhood pack when people come in. Here's here's the Easter thing I do, with the community, and actually gives you all of that information. And here's my signage that I use and how I use it. So that practicality is definitely my style, as opposed to being a little bit fluffy. So
I think it would come down to the businesses that people work for as well, and how much they're willing to allow people to share. So I think, it's just, I guess it's just, that's just our opinion though, isn't it? And
so on that, girls, from the property management point of view, for the people that are listening, because I know a lot of property managers have reached out that didn't go and have FOMO for not going. Are you still glad you went, and would you encourage property managers to go next year that didn't go?
I think it would depend. So like someone like Alicia, who got the FOMO. Hello, Alicia.
Yes.
Because she's starting a portfolio, she's in that BDM role, and she's like selling. I think a BDM would actually get a lot out of the sales side of things. But if you're a property manager just managing properties and happy with that, I actually don't know whether you'd get much out of AREC in general, to be honest, because managing properties, it's not, you're not interested in BDM, you're not interested in selling, they're probably...
But what if that's their future you?
If it is your future you, then yes, you should.
Yeah, but they probably get more out of the connections that they'd make with their team on that travel level. Like if they're going over with a team, if they are managing a portfolio obviously we sit in the seminars and sit in the conferences throughout the day and they'll get bits and pieces. But I don't think it's like specifically, I wouldn't encourage it sort of thing. But if they're going with team and like they're going to generate those connections that we've made and that we've been so stoked about, then 100%. If they can take the time off, away from it.
Now, Vanessa, we didn't watch Gavin Rubinson, but you did. What did you think?
Yes, I loved him as well. He had a really different way of presenting. He was really calm. So it wasn't high energy. He did use the stage, but he just delivered the message really well. One thing that I loved that he said, which I found really interesting coming from him, is he said, real estate is 20% skill, 80% mindset. That's a huge ratio. And for someone like that to say that, I thought, wow. And it's true. Like you can get in your head and it can really mess up your business. So that was a good takeaway. He also spoke a lot about find your edge. So just find your own edge, how you want to do things and do it your way. And try to be, we always say, try and be a bit different from the next. And there's only certain things you can do to stand out, but it was find your edge. And he also said to go from prospecting to being prospected. So you want to get to that level of people are coming to you to do the business, and play with passion, which is huge. If you lose your passion, you're not going to be successful. So play with passion. And again, calls, just make the calls. So, but I really enjoyed listening to him, listening to his story, the message that he gave and the way that he delivered it. So, really liked him.
Now, I'll skip Matt Gray because I quite liked Matt, but that was a very specific one on sort of online businesses and stuff like that. So I'll sort of bypass him and get straight into Sarah Hackett. So Sarah was the lady that stood there. Stood behind the pentium, do you call it? And then and she pretty much read her thing, which was powerful in a way because she was a very strong woman standing there doing it. I was definitely engaged, but I was engaged because of her content more than her presentation as such, because when people don't have a script, obviously their personality comes through a little bit like we saw with everyone else. With her, didn't see as much of a personality, but very strong presence still. And I quite liked her. I'm just going to try and find my notes on her because I actually, again, what it came back to, where are we? What it came back to was, so I just want to quickly see what I wrote on her. It came down to the content, and she actually showed what she does in her business. So I think from memory, she did a lot with the buyer management side of things, but she actually did like a flow chart or a chart of like what each of the positions were in her business and actually the real practical how-to. So, and how to set up that sort of buyer management client-centric team. So I thought that was really good. So I got a lot out of the actual practicalities of it. I'm just seeing if can't bring up my notes, but what did you girls think of her?
I agree. I think it would have been nice for her, even though she had it was basically a speech in front of her. It was definitely just like reading it off the paper, which it would have been nice if she did add a little bit of her own personality to it. So I agree that, but it's a difficult thing to do, talk to 5,000 people. So obviously that's the way she felt comfortable doing it. She got her message across. She was very inspiring. You girls didn't listen to the other lady who actually she employed, and she was also really good, Megan Muir. So they work for the same company, and Sarah employed her as a student from school, and Megan has since, grown to be a high performer. So it was nice to listen to Megan and then Sarah as well to know what that leadership looked like. I didn't have Sarah down as one of my favourites, but I did enjoy her presentation.
Shannon, did you watch it?
I did watch, but I struggled to connect with the reading. I just need the personality and the theatrics. And obviously it was very much, see, you're saying now that she had a great flowchart on, you know, the way that she's implemented things. And I must have missed that because I thought it was very sales based. So I guess that's why I tuned out. But
you blinked, did you blink too long?
What was that?
Did you blink too long?
Yeah, probably. No, but like honestly, I would be doing that if I was walking into a room full of 5,000 people. I would be doing the same thing. But so that was just me. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I definitely would have scripted it as well. So no hate to that. And then two more for the day. Trevor Bowen, who was the guy I was talking about, part-time real estate, part-time firefighter, loved his casualness, loved his no crap. Here's what I do. Take it, leave it, whatever. Love that. Same for you guys, or?
Yes. Yeah. He was great. He was surprisingly good. He was the last speaker of the day, and you saw so many people leave, like, oh, I don't want to listen to this guy. But for me, I was like, oh, well, we're here. And he actually was surprisingly good. Yeah. And I loved that he shared everything that he does. And yeah, he was just so real.
Yeah. So Green Smoothie Chip had gone overtime, which meant that we couldn't, which meant that we had to get Ryan Reynolds still at the same time, which meant that poor Trevor had to go for the end of the day. But it worked. I was like, like you said, it was good. And Shan, you left, didn't you?
Yeah, I left. I was out.
So Ryan Reynolds, I really like that, but the only thing that keeps on coming to mind with me is what a nice human being.
That's the same. He's such a good human.
Just genuine. Very genuine and like real and just honest and lives a normal life in a way. Like obviously he doesn't at all, but like he thinks he does, and he told us that he does, and he just does things because that's what you do as a human being. Like it was great.
That's so nothing to learn from him, but just lovely. I did have some feedback from some people that we went away with saying that they didn't like the way John McGrath interviewed him. So that was...
Well, for a start, I'm sorry, John McGrath, if you're listening, but he could have been wearing something a bit nicer, like you're talking to Ryan Reynolds.
Well, John McGrath doesn't listen to him, like podcast, number one. And number two, he wore it. Do you know, this is what I actually was saying when I came back to the office. I was like, again, I actually like Tom Panels. He's a love or hate person. I actually quite like him. He's a bit...
I love him.
But and then you've got John McGrath. But it felt like, we were there. We spent, a lot of money to go. And so for us, it was like, we want the MC to be bubbly and really motivate us for being there and make us feel special for being there, where those two came on, grandpas, jumping and sort of just like sat on the couch with their glasses on, not motivating and not feeling excited or like for us to be there. And it felt they were quite flat. I would have liked to see it.
Yeah, you needed more entertainment, essentially, like to group it all together. You had these incredible speakers. So to have that like professional MC would have really kept us going. They would have possibly introduced the speakers a little better and, hyped them up. And maybe people would have stayed like me. Maybe I would have stayed for the fireman at the end of the day if I had that hype up on who he was and what it was that he got, that he was doing. Can I go back to Ryan Reynolds, actually? One thing I took from him and also Ryan Serhant was they spoke a lot about family, and they got asked questions like, how do you manage your time with your family? And I mean, we all take what we want to hear, I guess, from these things, don't we? But for them, I really appreciated that they were actually quite honest in saying that they don't have a lot of time for their family or for their kids. And like people that know me know that my husband works really long hours as well. And it was just nice to hear that these people at these high performing levels, they are being honest in saying like, I don't have the time. I don't spend as much time as I would like to, but that's because I'm creating this future for our family, essentially. And they both said that they're doing things so that then, Ryan was saying he's worked out with him and Blake that they're not going to be filming together, at different times anymore. It's going to be all together. And he was planning on actually going back and settling their home and settling down after he was talking with us when he was in, where was he, in Russia or something somewhere?
Was he in like was he in Budapest? Was he?
I don't know, but yeah, it was just nice. And I think, there's a lot of pressure on families to spend lots of time with their kids, but then there's also pressure on us who want to be high performing and want to be successful. And then it makes you like, obviously we all get that mum guilt where you feel bad that you've got a babysitter picking up, once or twice a week, and their kids are going to daycare and all that kind of thing. But to hear that they were just like, you know what, I can't manage it and I don't manage it well. And it is what it is, but we are doing what we want to do because they love it and they love what they do. And I really liked that. That was one of the biggest things. I actually told Stu, my husband, about it. I was like, you know what, it was really nice to hear.
We don't all get mum guilt like you, Shan.
What's that?
We don't all get mum guilt like you. I don't feel guilty when I get that babysitter or drop off at daycare. No.
Well, just remember our kids are older, Ash.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. You guys are further along. Maybe when I'm like when they're 10 and 12, I won't feel so bad.
I will say I do get mum guilt, and on that, it actually gets harder as they get older when you're talking about how you watch other families and they're doing this and they're doing that, and they're having these lovely weekends as families, and we're all working. But then you've got to find what the positive is and what you're doing and teach them that, and you don't even need to say anything. They understand and they learn. So for my kids, for example, I work a lot, and they do say, Mum, you're always working. But then we'll go on lots of holidays, and when we're on holidays we get that quality time, and they understand now that that's what as a family we're making a sacrifice to work towards that. So you're right, that are the messages that those speakers did get across.
Did I tell you girls that I came home and Millie had rolled her ankle at dancing the night we spoke? And then my mum being like me being exactly like my mum, my mum messages me and goes, when I got off the plane, she's rolled her ankle, but she could still eat KFC, so I don't think there's anything wrong with her.
Because you wouldn't.
But with that. Anyway, next morning, so what do we get home at midnight, wake up in the morning, and Millie goes, Mum, my ankle's really, really, really sore. And I look at it, it's bruised, it's swollen. So I took it down to the hospital and she'd broken it. So yesterday morning, so her whole ligament had pulled off some of her bone. So she's in a full moon boot now for 5 weeks. So and she was Millie then being just like me and Mum was just like, I'm glad there was something wrong with it because she didn't believe me. So I had that. So I took Millie to school yesterday after getting all of that fitted. And after an hour, she's picture me, Ash just wants to get into work, get the work done, then get her to school finally. She calls up after an hour and a half. I can't do it. My ankle's too sore. All right, Nan, call up Nan, go pick her up. Because my mum's got 8 hours left of being in Perth, so I'm going to use every single minute of it. And then half an hour after that, St. Columbus calls up. I was like, bloody hell. And then I answered the phone from primary school for Angus. And then I was like, I've already picked up one child. What's this one done? And they're like, well, he's had a fall and I don't think it needs stitches, but I'd rather you just double check. So I was like, Nan, go pick up that one as well. And it's pretty deep because even this morning, the blood's still coming through, it's still bleeding a lot through the kneecap. And I was like, I don't have time to go to the hospital and bandage that up again, and maybe hope that it heals before we need it.
Oh my gosh.
Anyway,
sorry, just one more thing on Ryan Reynolds. The other thing that he got across was just know who you are, which is really important. So he did talk a lot about that. So that's something that I got from him.
Excellent. Now let's go speed through day 2 because there wasn't anything that was major highlights, but Chris Gilmore, really cool guy.
Loved him.
And comes back to those practical tips. Showed us exactly what his marketing looked like. This is what I'm doing. Had some humour in it. Love his ballsy attitude. Gives no shit. Just does what he wants. Love that.
How cool is his marketing?
So good.
He has some really good marketing ideas that I love.
Yeah.
And so generously sharing them as well.
Oh, 100%. And just a great, coming back to that whole spending time and listening to people that are better than you. He does marketing far better than me and anyone that I know. And that's why I think we liked him so much. Did you get to see him, Shan?
Yeah, I saw him. I loved the whole skip bin thing and the
Junk mail.
no junk mail.
Yeah.
And I could just hear Stu in my mind, like that real, just get it. They just get it. Yeah. It was great. I loved it.
Fluffiness. And I think, again, we all love the non-fluffy approach. That's our general consensus. And let's just finish off with Mark Boris. I was disappointed.
Yeah, I think I expected a little bit more of a futuristic type angle from him, and he was just all about health and well-being and wellness. And I do think a lot of people, the whole conference had a lot of wellness in it, which I like, but I didn't expect him to be so heavy on that. I did take some notes on him, but yeah, I thought I like him, I respect him, I think he's great, but not what I expected from him. Winning mindset, that was something that he put across, which I loved, and play to your strengths and live to your weaknesses. They were the two things, and just the reminder of health, nutrition and sleep. But other than that, yeah, it's not, I think, again, and even he didn't seem very prepared, so I think that's why he waffled on a lot about that and then realised he didn't cover the other topic.
So what Vanessa's saying is when he first came on stage, the first words that came out of his mouth were, so I called Tom this morning and asked him what he wanted me to talk about this afternoon. And as soon as we heard that, we're like, oh, okay, maybe you shouldn't have told us that you were, somewhat unprepared, because that set my mind to be disappointed. I guess all I took from him was that he's very strict on routine. I probably could be a lot on my routine and my sleep and my meal planning and things like that but I'm also not interested in being strict like that either. I can see the benefit of it, so very, very disappointing. I thought I would definitely have rathered Ryan finishing off. I think the event that would have probably made the biggest difference for me, as opposed to finishing off with Mark. But yeah, Shan, do you have anything to add on with that one?
Not really. I mean, Mark, or with the whole routine, that's very much Stu. So I think I just knew that. And like I said in the beginning, that was my biggest takeaway, is looking after your health and your mindset and that sort of thing. That's what can help you be successful and have the energy to put in the work every day, sort of thing. And I think there's a place for it, definitely. But again, it's just getting that and reminding yourself that should really be a priority or can be a priority. And yes, Stu is exactly the same, eats the same thing every day, goes to bed at the same time, gets up every morning at the same time, eats at the same times every day. So yeah, it's something that obviously I'm used to being around, and I do see how successful you can be being like that. So but I agree. I wonder if he didn't say that he wasn't prepared in the beginning, that we would have maybe thought he was okay throughout, but I think because he said it and then it didn't really flow, and then we all came back to what he'd said in the beginning. So yeah, but that's all right.
Yeah,
I didn't focus too much on that. For me, it was more that he said, I'm going to talk to you about this and this. He said the two topics that he was going to talk about, but then he got to the end and he's like, I don't have time to talk about that now. And that's, I think, what everyone was waiting for, which was more about the forecast of everything that's happening at the moment with the country. And
yeah. All right. Well, that's pretty much our AREC wrap up for those 2 days. So you can sort of see definitely some really strong highs, and then the rest sort of a little bit mediocre. But let's finish off talking about leaders. So this was an event that Sherry Storer from Real Estate Nation had organised. It was a half-day event on the Tuesday, and it was followed by a really lovely lunch for anyone that went with Oh my God, someone please tell me the name of the guy we had lunch with. It's terrible.
Wayne Bennett.
Wayne Bennett. I keep on calling him Warren. Wayne Bennett, don't shoot me. Wayne Bennett, he's very important. And we had lunch with him afterwards. So the event was on leadership, business, profits. I think it was 300 people there. Sherry does beautiful events, like her attention to detail and her marketing is, I love that side of things. So for me, that's like really cool. Special mention to the food. They had scones and like mini burgers for morning tea, right up my alley. I love that. So that was cool for me. But Vanessa, yeah, you really liked it, didn't you? The leader.
I loved it. It's not a typical thing that a sales agent would go to. So that day actually made me realize that I am very much of a business mindset and still am, because I got so much out of it and the speakers were just next level and I was engaged. So many takeaways and gold nuggets, and it really did completely change my mindset. Rebecca Holton in particular, her delivery, the way she spoke and everything that she shared, she just opened up. She was like an open book. And I think that's amazing. She just shared all her figures, how she's got there, where she's going. And it's really inspired me to make a future plan, because it's not something that I've really thought about. I'm just sort of sailing through, like I said before. So she was great. I loved Jeff Lucas as well, our CEO. He was brilliant too. And Sandra Larkin, I got a lot out of her. She was of the wellness but I don't know, there was something about her slides and her delivery that it was just like, yeah, let's make sure that our health and mindset is good. So, and of course, Anthony Catalano, loved his presentation on what we see for the future and the world's going to change with or without you. So,
see, Anthony, yeah. I actually found really difficult to listen to.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, and I don't know what it was. I think it again came down to like a scripted presentation. But also going through my head is he speaks just like my brother, and I think that was constantly like circling in my mind. Like, gosh, he talks like my brother's Anthony as well, but gosh, Anthony, gosh, he sounds like Anthony. So it was really hard for me to connect with him, but for that stupid reason.
Yeah.
I just found it difficult.
Yeah, I enjoyed him, but I found trying to keep up with the numbers and stuff that he was talking about, because he's generated, like, his story is incredible, but I needed like an extra couple of seconds to like process what he just said. And I kind of feel that if he just had have let a couple of sentences sink in, like, definitely his story is incredible. And I actually I was Googling him last night to reread it because I knew that I hadn't taken it all in. And yeah, like, that's what I think, if it was just slowed down and he just allowed us to have a paused minute, I think we would have got loads more out of it. But in terms of like the tech side of things, I love that. Obviously, so we've created our app, and like hearing what he's done with view.com.au and all of that, like it's pretty insane what he's created. Like, and just to think that he's got 9 kids, like, and he's got 9 kids.
Oh, does he?
No, I think he said 10 kids.
Oh, 10 kids? Okay, yeah. Well,
maybe it's an update in his website if you read it. I'm positive he said 10 kids on stage.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But like, how, and again, it's like, how the hell does he have time to have like $1 billion company or whatever these company is, like, with all these children? But yeah, it's supported when you get to that point, obviously. But yeah.
I was so funny you said it. In my mind, I was thinking, Sophia, like, if you had so much money, like, how many children would you actually have? Because I was like, because sometimes money is what puts people off having more children.
Yeah.
Not me. I'm happy with three.
No, I wouldn't have any more. Not personally, no. No, I'm done.
But I thought Sandra Larkin, I really liked her as a human, and I loved her presentation and what she had to say. I really enjoyed that. And Jeff Lucas, I would have put him up there. I think Beck definitely number 1 because of her transparency, but Jeff was my number 2 because I just really liked when he had his like red flags for like leadership. I think it was him that did. And I liked like his real, it was practical tips for me. But you know, and what about Wayne Bennett? Like he was, again, like, he'd love his style, really old school leadership, and a beautiful way to finish off, you know, our weekend as well. And he was good. I can't tell you what I got out of him, but it was, for me, it was a feeling from listening to him that I loved. Feeling.
Yeah, I was the same.
I think it was very much like you said, just old school classic advice, something that your dad would sit you down and say. Well, for me anyway, I felt like it's the advice that my dad would always give, and it's so simple. I think sometimes we overcomplicate it, and you just got to go back to basics. And you know, he just had really good things to say and just really simple stuff. Yeah, and even Jeff Lucas, something that he said, you've got 2 ears and 1 mouth, use them that way. And I think Ryan Serhant or Ryan Reynolds said, silence is violence, same sort of thing, like listen more, talk less. So it's just that simple advice that I loved. Yeah. And just quickly on, sorry, I was just going to say one other thing about the leader panel. I loved that the sales agents that were on that panel hadn't been in the industry for very long, and they told their story about how they grew so quickly, because quite often we go to these events, or me personally, and it's always agents that have been in the industry for 30 years, and you know, and sometimes it's a little bit soul crushing for the agents that haven't been around for very long, because it's like, oh, well, of course you're doing well because you've been in it for so long and you're so experienced, because it's all about having the experience behind you. So it was really refreshing to have that as a difference, and hearing their story.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think as the general, the notes I've just written now are that we all seem to have a lot more respect and enjoyed the sessions where people were open and transparent and gave a really amazing idea of exactly what they're doing, and weren't scared to share all their tips and tricks with us. If you look at it as a general, they're the ones that we seem to have been attracted to more than the ones that just gave us a surface level mindset, you know, about, you know, making phone calls or whatever. It was the ones that said, this is how many phone calls I make. I do this weekly. I do this monthly. These are my numbers. Like that is probably a fair summary, that they're the ones.
Yeah, definitely. And I think if you take that back, like if that's what we got out of them, and then if you look at how the public see us, that's probably how they select their agent, on those qualities, as opposed to the agents that are a little bit more surface level and look a bit sketchy. So the more transparent you are and the more upfront you are about what you're going to do with them and collaborate with them, the more chance you're going to be of having success.
And that comes down to the social media about, you know, when you are transparent online and you get to show who you are, what food you like, how many kids you've got, and you give all that information to the public who don't even know you, they're more likely to trust you, and you're more likely to. Yes. So it's interesting that you've sort of said it that way, because that's exactly how it works. Yeah, like you said, with our clients.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
I think with leader, I think I took a lot from Sherry as well. Like I was just looking at my notes now, and I just feel like there was just little things again, like little just pops of like value, and I like wrote it down. Like it was, she was great as well.
Yeah, and she's such a good human being, isn't she?
Oh, yeah, she is, and I love her energy.
Yeah. So we were talking at lunch one day. I'll finish off with this story. We were talking at lunch one day when we were over there, and we were talking about how, like, you know, some of them had like massive schedules and showed us what they did between 5 a.m. to 11 p.m. And one of the guys that we were with, Sean, he was saying how he, you know, quite often just works he's a sales rep, works in his robe, does a couple of hours. He goes, I still make good money, and I, you know, only work 3 hours a day or whatever it was. And we're like, we really need the real AREC. Like, we want to have an event where you have the people that actually just say it as it is. You know what? I still make good money and only work 2 hours a day, as opposed to these high performers. But we've still got people that are still high performers in their own right, who do less hours. And it was like, it'd be really interesting to do some sort of event where there was some real truth behind and transparency around what it looks like when you don't do all that, if that makes sense, don't do the traditional way, but still successful. So I think there's something there.
Definitely. Watch this space.
Absolutely. Well, you know what? That was such a great summary. Thanks, guys, for jumping on and sharing that with everyone. And for me, actually for you guys, would you go next year?
I would.
Yeah, I would go. Yeah, I would go if it was with the same or a similar group. Like that's I've always planned to go to AREC, and I never really thought about who I would go with. This kind of all just came together this year. And it made me realize that it was that part of it that I enjoyed the most, the being together, the networking. So it would depend, that would be my decision maker on whether I would go or not so much for AREC.
You wouldn't go just by yourself, go to
No, because I loved sharing our takeaways and everything every day, and the networking, the connections. And just for anyone listening, we didn't get drunk every night. It wasn't about partying, because that's what everyone thinks and is thinking, and some people do, and that's fine. But it kind of would defeat the purpose of being there. So yeah, the evenings were very much about just sharing everything that we got from the day, and just all about our businesses and everything. So that would be my deciding factor if I went next year. But I would definitely go again at some point. If it's not next year, then the following year.
Shannon, what about you?
Yeah, I'm the same. I think I like to do those things, and it was really nice to have 3 nights away from the kids, I will say. Yeah. I mean, I miss them. I miss them, but I'd love to do it again with Stu, to be honest. I'd love him to come over. But yeah, I'm the same. Like the connections that we made and the people that we got on a deeper level with that we didn't really know too well, I guess that was the main thing out of it. But yeah, and to be honest, I'd love to do leader again next year. Like that was that. Yeah. If I went, that would be the top of my list. So yeah.
And value for money for AREC, I think, what did we pay? Maybe $1,000 for the ticket. I feel that was pretty good value, even though I wasn't impressed 100%. I feel like that's pretty good still. $500 for a day's conference with some pretty good speakers. I feel like that's a pretty reasonable price.
Yeah, definitely. And the trade fair, we didn't really talk about it, but you've always got that as well, which has opportunity to find new things to put into your business too. So yeah, definitely worth the money.
Yeah. Excellent. Well, guys, thank you for your time. Great wrap up. Hope everyone enjoyed it. And I will speak to you soon.
Okay.
Today's wonderful sponsor is MyConnect, and we can't stress how much we love this company. We have used them in our business for years now, and they sync directly into our software. We literally do nothing. MyConnect are now just set up to contact tenants for utility connection as soon as they are uploaded as a new tenant in our system. And our team reaps the benefits of a generous rewards program. For every successful connection they offer to property managers, this fuels their Uber Eat Friday obsession. MyConnect guarantees that utilities are connected on the agreed day with a wide choice of suppliers for your clients. If you don't use MyConnect in your office for Tenant Utility Connect, definitely get these guys in to see how they can set you up.